In this tutorial, for relatively new Blender users, we'll take a look at creating some basic animations, but in particular we'll focus on the timeline here and on the graph editor as well, so like the F-curve editor like this. But we'll keep it really simple in case you haven't done this before. So I have a simple, let's call this our submarine in the scene here, and I just grab it. I'm on the global axis, and these are important if you haven't seen those videos on that. So I'll just grab it and I'll set it here, and over here in the timeline, I'll move these up so you can see them both a little bit better like this. Here in the timeline, I'll just left click here and it tells me I'm at frame 1 right here. If I use the right arrow key, it moves it up and it moves it down like this. This tells me the starting frame and the ending frame within this preview. And so maybe I'm going to preview this maybe only 150 frames. So I'll drag this down like this. Okay, now with this set here at frame 1 like this, I'll just press within the scene, I'll press I and I'll set a keyframe, and I just want a location keyframe, so I'll left click that there, and then I'll come up here on the mouse, on this timeline, and I'll press 100 like this. So I've moved up to frame 100, the active frame, and then I'll come up here and grab the submarine and I'll move it up here, and I'll do the same thing. I'll press I and a location. So there's a couple things to note. One is it's changed the graph editor. It's added actually keyframes for that in there, and down here it's added keyframes as well. Now down here you can, if you use the up and down arrow keys, you'll notice I'll do the down arrow key, it's moved it back to the first frame, up arrow key over here to this frame, just back and forth like that. And you can see it's yellow, tells me a keyframe is set. Alright, and you see the same thing. I'll go up and down with here frame 1, frame 100. And then so this is in the timeline down here. If we run the animation with we could either press this or press Alt A, you can see it just runs through the scene, and it'll just keep doing it like that. Let me move this up a little bit so you can see this a little bit better here. I can just I'm holding this with my middle mouse button, the mouse wheel, and I'm able to just move this up and down like this or sideways like that, so I can look into the scene anywhere I want. And I can scroll the wheel mouse so I can see more and more frames, 350, 400, so I can see a range of frames like this. Alright, so I'll just set this kind of in the middle like this while it runs, and maybe I don't need to see that many, so I'll cut it down in size there so it just kind of repeats over and over again like that. Okay, so alright, let's pause this for a second. So now in this graph editor, I've selected this right here. Here's the graph editor. This is how you can control your animations. One of the ways, there's many ways, and what keyframe that we set is listed here, the location keyframe. So if I click on the arrow, it tells me what locations are actually set based on red, green, and blue, and sure enough, that corresponds directly with the axes, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. So the one that looks to be set is red. It's the only one that has any real activity on it here, because that's the only one that we set like that. And so if I'm in here, what I can do is, since this is the active frame, I can actually isolate these. So I can isolate them like that. See that turns it on. If you're missing it, I'll just turn on red like that. And right up here you have these handles, kind of like a curve, because it is a curve. And if I right click on the middle like this, I can move this curve. And if I just press G, just like in the regular editing window, I can move it up and down or left and right like this, but also I can hold down the X, I can press the X button and move it, constrain it left and right like that. So I'll just move it down here and set it like this. Now let's see what happens. And then let's take this here up to here, and I'm going to press T, and I'm going to bring up this window. And you notice up here there's an alternate way you can get to these. Up in here on this window you can keyframe. Let me just remove that keyframe like that. So I removed the keyframe out at frame 100. You can see it's now gone. And then I press Alt A. It's a faster moving sub because it's a sharper curve like this. Alright, well, you can control these curves. I can just grab this handle there, press G, and I can control it like that. Let's see what that does. So it looks like to me it'll speed up pretty fast. When it get down there, it'll slow down pretty fast as well. Oh, backs up. Look at this. So that's not really, well, I don't think that's really what we're going to see a submarine doing, but alright, well, so that gives you an idea. And let's just add a back here at frame 1, let's press I, and we'll add another location keyframe. Well, that's already there, but let's move it further up here. I can just press in here too. I can move it up like this, and let's just move it over like that, and press I and reset the keyframe. And now notice when I do, I've set a Y location as well, and you can see there's a little bit of shift in the Y like that as well. If you need to zoom in, you just wheel mouse in like that. You can grab these guys like that, and that's how you can. That'll kind of just get you started in creating animations. And when you press I, you can set, you know, pretty much rotation, location, scaling is a good way to start, but there's a lot more different types of keyframes to set and a lot more effects. But this is a great way to get, you know, some practice in. Alright, well, that's it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next lesson.